Deathwatch.
Hello, I'm Chris with Deathwatch Productions for the 13th episode of A Prophecy of Dusk and Dawn. And my usual players are with me today, and they're going to start introducing themselves now.
I am Brandon, playing Landon Velox, a young nobleman and also newly sworn servant of Luna.
I'm Travis. I'm playing Hadrius Ordius, and I am but a humble merchant with no goods to trade. So I have to generate some capital here, and we'll see how that goes today, hopefully.
And I am John. I am going to be playing Hadrius Ordius and Landon Velox instead of my normal character today.
Okay.
That's not true. As playing Jardine, a.k.a. Dane Glass, world's greatest merchant / wizard / alchemist, and soon to be Lord of the Lands.
You should add detective to it as well, just because.
And detective.
There you go. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to give a quick errata, I guess, on my own rules, because I've been misdoing some stuff here. If a skill roll is difficult, that is done at 1/2. So all you guys who are doing it at 1/5, congratulations. You were going above and beyond.
I probably still failed
extra
even the
hard
1/2
mode.
roll.
Yeah. So whenever I say something is difficult, remember it is 1/2 the skill. If I forget,
Is there a level beyond difficult?
Well, yeah, it will go all the way down to like just
1/20th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like 1/5 is still a skill roll, and I will say 1/5 if I think it needs to be more difficult or harder.
This is like we've been jogging with a weighted vest on.
Yeah, now you get to take it off.
Now we will surely be heroes from this point. Not I, but you guys will.
Swinging the 25-pound sword.
All right, so here we go. Solar has begun his descent in the west, the sky beginning to turn a brilliant crimson. Rob Morgan stood before a large oak table upon which several maps were laid, the topmost of which had been replaced with a map, which had replaced the map of the Cunabula, was now instead a detailed map of Castrum Low and the surrounding area. God's damn you, London, the mountain of a man thought, his face growing darker. I've not time for this. A part of him couldn't bring himself to believe that the boy he had known for almost a decade ago could be such a snake and it not show on his face. To integrate himself with that fool, Duncan the Younger's good graces, and then abduct him. If true, it appeared that the boy had learned his lessons well down in Mars Oris. The magnates there were notorious for their ability to backstab, while all the while smiling to their victims' faces. Again came that doubt. But would he do that? Would he risk war between his house and Low, while at any minute they could find Alexander bearing down upon them with his army? And all for a brother loathed by even the monster's own father. Rob shook his head. Nay, Velic's blood runs hot, not stupid. He was so lost in thought that he didn't hear when the other man entered the Bellum Tentorum. What is this new mess that I hear my other son has now dragged me into? Rob jumped to attention, his fist thunking against his breastplate. Still not the best of salutes, but a good enough one for a man of his standing. Across from him, at the other end of the massive table, stood a man, about a head shorter than Rob, but no less intimidating. Apologies, Lord Marshal. So, it's the 29th, it's nighttime, and I'm going, because I cutscened you at the end, Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to allow you to kind of retcon anything. We got the men taken care of for their treatment of wounds, but is there anything that you want to do before you went to bed?
No. I mean, it's too dangerous to go out looking for the end. And
Okay.
So I'm just going to have to trust that Luna will shelter her and
All right.
hunker down and get to sleep.
The two dead men, your Fields' men are preparing to burn the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fine with you?
Yeah,
All right.
that makes sense.
So he's he's going to be saying prayers to Solar for that.
Okay.
Is that still fine with you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to give you a new skill, Brandon. Under mental, the category mental, make a new one. Name it meditate. And its base is 15%. And then when you get that set up, roll it for me. All right.
Failure.
All right. So you go into the tent and you lay down upon the small squat cot. As soon as your head touches the rolled up blanket that Fields used for a pillow, your eyes grow heavy and you feel an odd sensation. It feels like your head is sinking through the pillow, that you're falling away from your body. And then you open your eyes, and when you do, you're standing in the clearing. Except instead of the men gathered around the fire, you see wispy, ghost-like apparitions of them, and occasionally snippets of conversation reach you. The tents are a little bit more solid, but they're also ghostly. Whereas, like, as opposed to the trees are solid.
Okay.
Save for an area off to the east, which has that kind of ghostly, almost flickering. It's a fairly wide trail. You see places where feet have stomped on foliage and limbs have been hacked away, and you think that's what's causing that area particularly to flicker, is that a change has happened there recently. The fire is burning. You see it, but it's an odd kind of pale ghostly color, and it gives off no light or warmth.
Okay.
You occasionally catch snippets of conversation from the two men in this instance, who have gathered around that fire, and they're talking about what happened during the fight. Did you see that? Aye, his sword lit up like a lantern. You think that you think that woman he was with had anything to do with it? I heard she's a witch, probably ensorcelled him. And then you hear, before you actually see his form, an angry Fields, who appears mid-stride near the fire, and he's yelling at them to watch your tongues. Commander Velik stood with us, and I'll broker no ill words about the man. Until the day comes that he sprouts horns and a tail, I suggest you show him proper respect. Fields doesn't wait for any response from the two apparitions before the fire. He turns on his heel and then disappears mid-stride again, too far out of your vision. You're not quite sure what's quite going on here. One of the men leans over to his friend and asks, what crawled up his ass? I suspect the same thing that's always been there, comes the reply. And as he's saying this, his form immediately grows dimmer because he stands up. Where he was a little bit more solid before because he was stationary, but now he stood up and he immediately grows dimmer. The other stands, and the two turn away from the fire, and they fade, but their words kind of linger enough to reach you. One of the men says, "Oh, I wasn't being disrespectful. If all witches looked like her, I might want some ensorceling myself." And you hear the other man's laughter, distant, echoey, kind of reach you, and then fades. So, in this clearing, you have that one path to the east, where it looks like a large number of people went recently. And you also have a smaller set of footprints that lead off to the west.
Is there any way between the two I can determine what is newer?
The smaller set of footprints is the newest. It glows fairly bright, and you roll a sense for me.
Success.
So, you see fine webbings of that denote Luna's presence
Oh, okay.
in something to do with that. It's not her footprints, but she's meddling with it in some fashion.
Yeah.
Which, it being off to the west, you would surmise is most likely Leodin's footprints, and it's also the reason why they couldn't find them.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. When you make that sense, when you peer at the footprints, you feel something tug at your mind. It's like a familiar link that you have with the person who made those prints, right?
Yeah.
And you are suddenly seeing a vision, a memory. You're not quite sure what, but you see the shadowy boughs of the Leshy rushing by you. Your heartbeat is drumming in your ears. And up ahead, barely visible through the canopy, is a faint pillar of moonlight. You hear yourself saying, "So close. Just gotta push a little bit further." But it's Leodin's voice that you're hearing.
Okay.
You suddenly become aware of something watching you, but it's not the same foreboding feeling of the Leshy or its thralls. And Leodin stops and looks around, and you can sense that she's recognizing this feeling of whatever it is that's watching her. And she says aloud, "Landon, is that you?" Up in your characteristics, in the upper right-hand side, or characteristics bottom right-hand side, sorry, is a resistance table.
Mm-hmm.
For the first one, put your POW, the first number on the left. You see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then for the second one, put an 18, and then roll it. Okay. That's something that you should start becoming familiar with.
Okay.
That is, that's essentially your reflex save, or if you want to move a boulder, strength versus size. It's a common roll that will be done. And if you want to use magic on someone, that's essentially a test of wills right there.
Okay.
So it will become more prevalent. All right. So the shock of her realizing she's being watched by you, and you realizing that she's able to detect you in whatever form this is, she kind of slams up like instinctual barriers, like mental barriers. She's not in control. This is just her natural willpower pushing against yours.
Mm-hmm.
And you begin to feel yourself getting pushed back, snapping back towards the clearing.
Okay.
As you're being pushed back, give me a spot.
Okay. There you are.
Okay.
Success.
So through the trees, as you're being pushed back, where that pillar of light is shining, you catch sight, a glimpse of men, a large gathering there. And because you succeeded, you are able to see that many of them are wearing Veloxian colors. So she's running towards a large group of Veloxian soldiers, is what you get from that.
Okay.
But then suddenly you're back in the clearing. You open your eyes, the vision's passed,
Mm-hmm.
and you're still standing by that campfire, still in whatever this dream is.
Oh, okay. So I'm still
Mm-hmm.
spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How does did movement feel for me? Was I like, do I walk or do I float, or like when I was moving around, what was it like?
Because you failed your meditation roll, you're not quite lucid dreaming. It feels like a dream, right? So you suspect that, well, you see something, you kind of are there
Okay.
right now. But you suspect that, say, if something terrifying is to occur, that you might suddenly become bogged down. Your movement is kind of at the whims of this place. But if in the future, if you succeed at your meditation rolls, speed of thought,
Okay.
it's the astral plane. I ain't gonna try to flub that for you.
Yeah. All right.
But you do get the feeling, if you want, you can wake up or return to an actual natural rest,
Mm-hmm.
or keep going in this dream. You do feel that you will not be rested if you stay in here too long, though.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what I'll do is like wake up.
Okay.
It's like how many people were in that group that I saw her running towards? Like what sense did I get for how many there were?
About 40-ish. It was a large number of people.
Yeah, which is too many, right? Because Field said that people looking for me were split up in smaller groups.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to wake up and go talk to Fields then.
If you want, I can suggest that maybe something similar to what happened with Leodin's trail could happen here if you wanted to try for that.
Oh, to follow their trail?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't got to. You can wake up if you want.
No, let's just do that.
All right. Give me a sense. And it's easy.
Okay, so how do I...
×2 if it doesn't have the option for it to just be easy.
×2...
Okay.
Success. Excuse me.
All right. So you look towards the eastern trail, and you're kind of suddenly standing before it. And you feel a familiar presence tug at your mind. And you hear a voice, a distant echo, speak. Is your business here done, my lord? And it's Chelsea's voice. And when that happens, you see a particular set of footprints kind of start lighting up amongst the jumble and the mass of them. And then just like with Leodin, you're suddenly a vision, a memory. You're not quite sure. But suddenly overhead, the sky is bright and sunny as you stumble on undergrowth and protruding roots, easily missed due to the state of your right eye. The lot of you have been bound together and forced to march, first east until you reach the banks of the Muros. Now your captors follow those very same banks to the north. Ahead of you, you see the hunched and stumbling form of Duncan the Younger. To the best of your knowledge, he took little more than a light beating, yet the man seems to be in worse shape than yourself. His breathing is ragged, his body is taken with shivers, yet sweat pours off the man, and vomit stains the breast of his armor. Finally, after some time passes, finally Solar sets and you arrive at your captor's camp, nestled in a little bend in the river surrounded by large rocks on three sides. Before the vision ends, you see far to the north a cliff carved out long ago by Muros. A forgotten black castrum sits atop of it, melted down nearly to its foundations and standing guard before a broken and shattered bridge. When the vision ends, you find yourself in the clearing and still in the dream.
Okay. Now, that was the tracks that were off to the east?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And not... So then Leandin was going towards a different group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, she's going essentially the opposite direction.
Right.
You know, Fields stated that there were 50 strong that came out into these woods to go looking for you.
They must have linked up or something. So, but anyway, it's too dangerous to move around at night, so I'll go to sleep.
Okay.
And then when morning comes, we'll head out, follow Leandin to link up with that group so we have enough people to go to the ruined castle and try to assuming I remember any of this when I wake up. You know.
Could you give me a religion difficult, or a knowledge, history, or Natale Salis also difficult, or a 1/5 no roll before you doze or enter into actual sleep?
So knowledge, religion, you said?
Yeah, difficult. So 1/2.
Okay.
2.
Critical.
All right, man. That castrum you recognized. It's Castrum Noctis, Castrum Night.
Mm.
And much of its history has been eliminated from all records. You come to know of it mostly through scholarly hearsay from your teachers. But legend says that after Solar returned from sealing the abyss, rumors reached him of a group of blasphemers that had taken up root in one of the castrums in the foothills that lead up to the mountain of that lead up into the Godspine mountain range, which is the mountain range to the east of this town, or the city, the Castrum Low. There they made sacrifices in an attempt to commune with the denizens of the abyss. It is so said that so angry Solar was at hearing this that he descended from the sky like a falling star, and killed every living thing that drew breath within sight of the castrum. Upon his return to Domus Solis, he had the name of both the castrum and the house that kept it stricken from all records.
Okay.
But anyway, with that fun thought in your head, you doze off to sleep.
Yeah.
And we'll jump on over to Travis and Jardine, currently living it up in the gambling at the tavern. So Travis, actually Jardine, we'll start with you. Is there anything that you want to do? Hadrius, if he wants to make any sort of money or hear any sort of rumors at this, has probably about an hour to 2 hours of time spent here.
I believe I was keeping an eye out for any of the alchemist symbols that I might recognize, as I'd like to try and see if I can gather some more resources if possible.
All right. So this would be on the way to the tavern. Give me a luck or a spot roll. We'll make it a difficult luck.
Spot. Success.
Now, you do know that any fronts for the alchemists will not. They won't speak about it. It's secret. So you'd have to show some sort of proof as to who you are, and that might come with a problem as well. So I'm just going to forewarn you on that. But you do spot a dye shop that has the appropriate symbology or symbols.
Okay. I don't plan on like going in and trying to purchase or haggle or anything. It's just keep an eye out for these on the off chance that an opportunity arises.
Okay.
Or we're in need.
All right. So you definitely have one. Make a note of it. It's in Newtown or New Southern Moros. And then just ×1 it. Is there anything else that you'd like to do? Because this would probably be on your way either to the inn or to the tavern that you spot this.
Like to understand why Adrius is so intent on charging armies. And it's kind of weird, but
right.
I'll
Sand
ask him
check.
what the history behind that is. No, I mean it really. I don't have any. Coming from a place where everything was provided, for me, and not, I guess, having a whole lot of wants or desires. It's just not much, unless there's somebody who can do better at fixing this arm of mine.
Nah.
That would be the only other thing. Also, I have not been gaining back any hit points because I just keep forgetting to ask you, what was the rate of return for hit points?
I have if you look at that tracker, you got Jardine's left arm, right? 6. That's how many days before you get to roll to see if you regain to see if you regain hit points or how much hit points you regain. It's once a week.
Okay. So yeah, that would really be the only thing, is if there's anybody who could assist in the healing of the arm.
All right. So if you want medical assistance, you could probably find someone. But for the most part, as long as the bone is properly set and stabilized, or whatever word they want to use for it, you're probably just good, right? It didn't puncture the skin. There's no chance of infection. But yeah, you can go find someone. It'd be based on what level of skill you want. So half cheap would be 25, average would be 50, and then expensive would be your 75, and wealthy would be your 100 skill.
What would I be rolling?
You wouldn't be rolling anything. You would just be offering up money.
I don't have any of that at the moment.
Well, then,
so I guess I'll just make a note of it. That it would have been nice.
Guess I'll just die then.
So yeah, that's just kid outside the candy shop window. It would have been nice to have a working arm for some alchemist stuff.
Now, do you have any questions on where you're supposed to go here in Castrum Low? Because that's where you were supposed to go, was that direction.
Yeah, I thought I was mainly just following Hadrius.
No, you figure Hadrius knows, and Hadrius figures you know.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't remember reading it in any of the notes that said where I was supposed to go.
You're supposed to present yourself, I believe, at the castrum proper.
Okay. But if that's where we're going, then I'll if it's not obvious how to get there, then I'll say we should definitely ask for some direction.
We're just on the town outside of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like, I think Chris had explained to us that we would put in our petition to see the Lord.
If he's not holding court, which if you want to give me well, actually, you can take care of it during your gamble. We'll deal with that. But if you want, Jardine, you can roll an etiquette or knowledge royal court or anything similar to that. All right.
Fail.
Yeah, you're just not good at this political maneuvering of various houses. So you're not quite sure if the initial, which was D, that signed your letters, is actually standing for like Duncan Lowe, Duke's Duncan Lowe, or if it's someone else pretending to be him. Like you're not quite sure what exactly or who exactly it is that they that you're truly supposed to present yourself to at the castrum, right? Because you do know that you're a very illegal commodity right now, to put it in terms of that you humble merchants would understand. And so like presenting yourself to Duke's Duncan Lowe seems like the best course of action to you with that etiquette roll, but there's something that's kind of itching in the back of your head on that.
Well, I also probably rely on whatever Hadrius says to do here, because he is the one that was hired to get me safely, and I'll waggle my broken arm in his face, safely to wherever I was, or whoever I was purchased by.
I guess I'll word it this way for you. You have always appealed to authority. You've always had a master over you. And so it would make sense for you that, of course, you would present yourself to Count Lowe or Duke Lowe, right? So, but yeah, at the same time, Hadrius has been your guide, so maybe you view him as a more proper authority for this type of venture. All right, so you're at the tavern of the two mugs, I guess is what I'll call it, but its official name is just a pitcher.
Yeah, and I'm just gambling and making small talk, particularly about recent events. What's the news? Also, if I'm gambling against like a tradesman or something, I'll ask him how business has been, that sort of thing. Maybe get any hints dropped about problems with materials, whatever it might be, whatever their given problem is, because that might clue me into where I might have an opportunity to trade. But once I've grown weary of that, I'll probably talk to Dane a little bit more.
All right, roll your gambling, and you can complement or augment with strategy, or insight, or appraise. So I'll leave it.
Okay, I guess we'll complement. How does that work exactly?
Complement is 1/5 of the skill as a bonus to the gambling.
Gotcha.
If you want to augment, you're attempting to lower the difficulty check.
Right.
And so you would roll the skill and then roll gambling. The problem is if you fail that one, you augment the opposite direction.
Gotcha. So I'd get basically a modifier of 1/5 the skill on my gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 14
All right.
using my praise. And mostly winning or losing, or winning would be a side benefit. It's mostly the information and something on they did better than me.
All right. So, these old men gossip like hens. They sit around. Many of them are lacking teeth, and they do take note of your Maris Oris particular drawl, your southern accent there, and they give you no end of like pain for it. Basically,
Right. I don't blame you, good sirs. I ran afoul of some evil Maris Oris people myself. Excuse me.
But as they gamble, they basically pass around the basic news and some of the stuff you've already heard. Duke's Low has closed the North Gate, most likely, in their opinion, because an army of Velik's thugs has set up camp outside on the northern Muros. And another will chime in, like, yeah, they started a lot of this trouble. Not the Alexander thing, but a lot of this other trouble that's happened recently when one of the bastard sons raped the Duchessa, and then the other son abducted Count Lowe's son. It's madness. They all need to be put to the sword, every last one of them, like the rabid dogs they are. Another person will chime in, they ain't.
They're not so bad.
No, they are. It's just that putting them to the sword when we have bigger fish to fry with Alexander, the fool of a king that has uprisen in the southwest. They then go on to say that the pontiff Linus has given his blessing to Alexander, is another rumor that's been going around, and that everyone is supposed to make a trek to the southwest to receive the king's blessing, all the lords, or they'll be branded as heretical and executed. And the last major rumor...
Is there some doubt that the lords will do that? People here are kind of opposed to this upstart king.
Oh, Lowe ain't going there. No, sirree. Not in a million years. And as much as I hate him, I don't think Velix would either. That they're both staunch, righteous men, worshippers of Solar, Soul. And then the last, final major rumor is that very recently, it's believed that Leofric and the remainder of his army have finally arrived from the north. And that would put them at a number that, if you want to roll strategy or gaming, or you can even complement it if you want. What would your complimentary be if you wanted to?
Be 64, so it would have been a success.
All right, so you find this number to be absurd, but they're saying tens of thousands strong.
Of men.
Yeah, you think that's pure rumor, not even based in fact at all. But
And these would be people in an alliance with Velix?
Leofric is Lord Velix.
Oh, okay. My mistake. News gets a bit corrupted by the time it reaches my stomping ground.
I figure you would know, because Leofric and House Velix and Mars Oris have strong ties, which you, through the grapevine, being a merchant, know a lot about. So those are the major rumors that are going around in southern Muros.
And so how has all of this impacted the trade in the city? Are you businessmen?
Oh, yeah. An old man who's sitting to your left puts a hand under his knee and lifts up his leg and kicks it out. You see a fairly well-made shoe upon his foot. The rest of his clothes are well enough off, but not as superbly crafted as the shoe. And he's like, my apprentice made that one. A cobbler. Yeah, at least I was, until And he trails off and gives you a side eye.
Say no more, friend. I understand how these things impact us who just wish to make a simple living. Well,
As you say that, you lose another round of
right.
the card game you're playing.
Well, gentlemen, I think I am playing outside of my skill here. I don't think I'll last long in the city if I keep at the table with you.
All right.
If you'll excuse me.
So they laugh and they say their farewells to you. And one of them gives you a chiding kind of last remark about thought you'd come to finish us off, but we got one over on you.
Yes, indeed.
But they seem to be fairly happy, and they don't seem to really, be genuinely mad with you.
Yeah, so I'll mosey back over to the table where I had left Dane, if he hadn't gone off somewhere.
Oh,
And,
he's sitting there poking at his wound.
Oh, I have to get that arm looked at. You didn't bring any money with you by chance? I'm finding myself a little light of late. Dane,
I just assumed that you
had all the money.
had the funds.
I do have some.
No, I didn't have. I didn't really have much time to prepare, and we weren't really ever given money. I had no need for it.
Well, let's go get it treated properly, because if I think we are about to embark on our next step, it won't do to have you looking all scuffed up as you are. So I'll raise my
I think
voice.
I just need a bath and a shave, maybe some new clothes.
Well,
Maybe
maybe
should be okay.
a proper sling or splint rather than whatever you
I'll
currently
look
have.
at the the pine boughs that I've wrapped around it.
Well,
It's fine.
Ollie did.
Ollie, yeah,
Yeah.
did some field dressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already been treated for it, basically. First aid, right?
Yeah,
You'd have like some
yeah.
proper chirurgeon.
If he has a proper medical assistance for the majority of a week, which he could get, I just will give like a +1 on a success to his base hit points being healed back. It's a D4 every week. And he has no chance of infection sitting in
Okay.
the way it currently is. So,
Well, we can get him started on that. I'll raise my voice to the...
oh, sorry, one last thing before you quit your gambling. If you did want to ask if Lowe's holding court, is that a thing you want to do, or?
Yeah, I suppose. That was the impression we
How-
had, but we should probably specifically figure out if that's happening, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be like, well, my business is in trade, good sirs, and I was wondering if the Lord was taking petitions.
Leofric holds court for the first 10 day of each month.
Okay, that's good to know. And my companion took an injury in our journey up here. Do you know the name of a quality chirurgeon?
You're gonna have to go into Old Town, probably to the castrum. The hedge witch that lives on the south upped and vanished.
Is that one of the ones that Landon has now?
Mm-hmm.
You took the hedge witch.
Took 'em
Lords. Okay. Well, yeah, then I'll
No one
make
will ever
the
be
farewell
healed
as I had
again.
made it previously.
All of your witch are belong to me.
You're just gonna collect witches.
Be the only healer in the land.
And the old town had a seedier reputation, or is that like inside the castrum walls?
No,
what
Old
it
Town
means?
has a higher. It's
Right.
upper crust.
Okay.
If you wanted information, it would also be where you would find like the Mendenci Forum or the Computatus
Yeah.
Domus, the accounting house, the bank, or the Merchants Guilds. And the Merchants Guilds would be, that's like they basically hand out various writs. They essentially rent a bunch of trade rights from the local lord,
Right.
and then you would buy from them.
Gotcha.
And the accounting house would be where you would give out loans or turn in bank notes and the like. So exchange currency.
Well, Dane, are you well enough for a walk?
Yeah. It's just my arm. My legs are good.
So as
Although a bath does sound.
well,
good.
maybe we'll do that first, and then we can head over to the old
Change
town.
of clothes.
But we'll
Yeah.
as we're walking back to where we're staying, I'll make conversation with Dane. I'll be like, well, I've surmised wasn't difficult who you are and what you are about. So given what we know about this whole situation, it would be beneficial for you to end up in front of that lord. I think maybe where you're supposed to go. In fact, we sprung you from the hands of Alexander, so it would harm him and help this lord. But I wonder if anybody has stopped to ask what you want out of all of this, Dane.
I am down a wagon.
Yeah, I don't. All I wanted was to be away from the palace, as I hadn't stopped to consider it. As our time on the road has been exciting and fun, as with the exception of a few instances, as I don't recommend crazy cart races through war-torn towns. But I hadn't considered anything other than coming here and applying my trade again.
Well, I suppose it would be a relief to have the protection of a lord again, so you could do that in comfort. I mean, it would be crazy if you were to strike out on your own and ply your illegal services and goods in some sort of secret black market operation. That would be a crazy thing to do.
Are you suggesting a partnership?
That would be even. That sounds like halfway to a plan.
Madness. Madness to make that much money.
I mean, you to make the things, me to get them to where they need to be. Be a lot of risk.
And all during the chaos of an overthrowing or a revolt, where the law is hard to impress upon the populace. Madness.
And I have been considering some things that I'd like to try, as I think that I could make some things easier now than I could in the palace, as definitely something for us to consider. And none of the notes ever said anything about when I would be expected to arrive here.
And surely not being in the hands of this upstart king is already enough good on its own. But I wonder who we would be making enemies of
Certainly,
by such a decision.
certainly the people that arranged to get me out of the palace, and anybody who had paid for all of that.
Well, they were desperate enough to hire a humble merchant to do so, and I was desperate enough to take such a job without any upfront payment. So,
No, you were paid up front.
was I?
Yeah.
I just spent it all.
Fun fact, actually, I forgot to mention it. You did receive more money, but I forgot to tell you.
Oh.
So it's lost to time.
So,
It's lost in that accident.
my statement maintains its integrity.
It does. You are, as always, a humble and honest merchant.
If I was paid more, I just don't know. But
And as far as I'm aware, we haven't. It's not like we've checked in with anybody right now, and I will say that I've grown fond of you and Ollie.
Ollie gives you a boss. Gives you a thump on the arm.
well, at least we have brotherly love. I wonder how much money that translates to. Just clinking my empty pouch, or nearly empty pouch. Well, something
And
to
if-
consider while we bathe and make ourselves
Again,
presentable.
If you knew the right people to buy some goods, I could attempt this easier method. If you want to,
Oh, this is
to experiment.
a high risk, high reward path. You have to understand that, Dan. the most likely outcome is all of us dead.
As my
We're in enemy territory.
outside of the palace, I never had real risk. As now you've given me a life of adventure, you want to snatch it back from me?
No, I'm
That
just, I want
quickly?
you to understand that we're in a strange place where I don't have any contacts. If we are to start such a crazy, insane operation, we would have to do it depending on loans, and I don't know what kind of rates I could secure with my reputation being so far to the south. But
Also, just imagine the I think that the people that hired you would probably say that you've got the biggest balls they've ever seen to bring me all the way here and then start a business of selling the goods that I was smuggled out of the palace to produce.
well, it's
Most likely to the people who wants them produced. 'Cause
Exactly.
Technically, you have a bunch of armies gathering here. They could be really in dire need for gunpowder, for various siege weapons, and so you do have your clientele right here, Hadrius.
oh yes. All right. Well, let's get all cleaned up, and you think on that, Dane, and
Another side note on the on Lowe's Court for in the summertime, it stops at noon.
okay.
Because the heat from the castrums, he retreats to his manor in Old
It's too
Town.
warm, so we'll have to
Yeah.
present ourselves early. And how far out are we from his next time?
It would be afternoon currently. It's not quite evening yet,
Yeah.
so you have the rest of the day, and then he holds it before the sun rises
Okay.
to
Does he
to
hold
midday.
court daily, or is it just at certain periods during this time of troubles?
Daily for the first 10 day of each month. So the first week of each
Okay.
new month, he'll hold it
And
daily.
And
Other matters.
where are we at in that
Early still,
in that
right?
calendar?
Second or third?
You're on the second, going into the third
Yeah.
day of new summer.
Well, we have plenty of time in any case, Dane. We may yet present ourselves. It's something I've been considering. If I can come up with a persuasive enough argument, it might be better to go before a lord than a bank. I've not quite figured out who are the worst to be indebted to.
The bank.
Yes. But at least I understand their terms. So maybe they have
Actually,
that advantage.
If you want, you can give me any of your mercantile skills, anything that is even remotely linked to mercantile
Yeah.
or etiquette, Morris, Oris, to tell you just how bad the banks are.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe I would kind of factor what interest
Success.
weights would be.
All
You
right.
got a better one than me.
So you both know, but Dane knows for sure because he's heard talk in the actual Castrum Soul of many of the lords that held the council there were constantly angry at the banks because they were a secret power that worked that was just a hammer, and
Right.
they could just bring it down, and they could cause a muck, just run amok with all, disregarding for the actual laws that the Stuarts would set down.
And are they sort of decentralized, or are they like the core of their power is under the protection of a different, like across the sea or whatever?
Yeah,
Right?
it's they're a foreign bank
Yeah.
that is a large trader. They trade all the way to the Far East, which is also believed to be where the ties originate from. But they kind of work in, I don't want to say like loose knit like groups,
Yeah.
but the Morris Oris or the Natale Solis Bank does kind of has its own faction reputation, I guess, if I was to gamify it a bit more
Right.
than the Prope Orientum.
Okay.
Right.
And the Prope Orientum is where Gregio was sort of a agent from. Is that right?
Who?
Was that his name?
Giorgio?
Giorgio. There we go. Yeah.
Giorgio works for the local,
Okay.
which is headquartered out of Domus Solis.
All right. Yeah. So
Yes, better to sell yourself into slavery than to than to deal with any of those banks.
Better to sell yourself into slavery than have the bank do it for you.
Yeah. But we're going to end up
It's-
owing somebody
it equals
something.
the
It's
same
just
thing.
a matter of who. We'll try the Lord first, I think. If you are keen on the suicidal, insane path to unknown riches.
I've come to find that I enjoy this dangerous life full of adrenaline, excitement, never knowing whether you're going to live or die from one minute to the next that you've shown me here. The life you lead is a very interesting one, Hadrius.
Well, I'll clap him on the back, and it's like, well, this way we don't ever have to worry about being old men. So let's get washed up.
All right.
Indeed.
We will end with you there. What time we got? Alrighty. And we'll head
We're
back
gonna
on.
skip the steamy bath scene. Dang it.
Description.
Sorry, Chris.
A slow saxophone plays in the distance.
The window blows, or the curtain blows in the window, and
And we will jump on over to Landon. It is the morning. Well, Solar hasn't yet risen.
Okay.
You hear Fields shouting, and you're kind of drifting back to being awake. So I'll let you take it from there. If there's anything that you have immediately on your mind that you want to do.
Yeah, I'll get up and get ready, but I'll call Fields in to talk to me privately.
All right. So Fields shouts off the remainder of the orders he had to his right-hand guy and has him take over. And he approaches his tent that you are currently in and salutes.
I'll return his salute, and then I'll say, Captain, there is something very important that we need to do, and we need to move quickly, so I'll need you to trust me. And then I'll tell him, Leandin went west, and she'll soon be linking up with a group of 50 more of our men. We need to catch up to her and get those men and immediately head east to, there was a river, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they were crossing, or
That they reached
They were
the
following?
bank and then followed. Yeah.
Duncan the younger, and I know Chelsea was there. Was
You
there
were
any other?
seeing his memories.
Yeah.
The remainder of the noblemen
Right.
were there.
Okay, then the remainder of the nobles that were abducted in this ambush are moving along the river to the east. So we need to get these men to the west so we have the numbers to stage a rescue. And we have to be very quick about it, because I don't know how much longer Duncan will last. And I can't explain to you how I know this. Not in a way that you would believe anyway.
All right. Make a either a sense or an insight, or you can complement or augment those if you wish.
I'll do
Or
insight.
If you want, you can also do a status roll too. I'll leave it up to you.
I'll do insight.
All right.
Fumble.
While his attitude has changed, you still see that there's some doubt
Mm-hmm.
that remains in Fields of you. He seems to have had some sort of turnaround, but when you start talking all this crazy stuff about just knowing and what he's supposed to do, and it kind of harkens back to him the rumors of you being ensorcelled that have already spread around camp, and then that crazy stuff you did with the sword, and
Yeah.
but you still figure that the fact you stood with them speaks louder than that. So there is some sort of unrecognizable to you emotion that plays across his face when you tell him what to do, and that you just know
Yeah.
and don't ask, and you just can't discern what it is. But he salutes and gives a slight bow and says, "It will be done, my lord."
Okay. Well, thank you, Captain.
A short time after that,
Thank you.
he kind of looks at you oddly again and gives a nod before turning on his heel and shouting orders. Now, what was it exactly that you wanted to have happen?
We need to move as quickly as possible to the west, follow those tracks towards the men that Leandon was running towards. We need to link up with those men. So that's what we got to do first. And I don't know anything about the Leshy except that it's dangerous. So what I need to set up is some sort of buddy system where nobody's ever out of sight of somebody else as we're traveling.
All right.
And we need to move as quickly as we can. Do I regain any hit points for that sleep, or was it?
You regain 1 a day, no matter if you sleep or not.
Okay.
That's because of the blessing of Luna.
And power points?
Power points are full for you.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the plan.
All right. So, Fields turns on his heel and begins commanding that the camp be broken down, and that they need to be prepared to move within about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, a person is sent to help you into your armor, and that man comes with your breakfast as well if you wish to eat while that's being done. Thankfully, your armor is fairly simplistic. It's ceremonial. It's not full field dress, so you're able to do it yourself if you wish.
Well, I'll take his help.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll go faster that way. And what's his name?
It's Theo.
Theo, yeah.
If you want, you can roll Insight versus Theo.
Okay. Critical.
There you go.
I know everything about you, Theo.
You see a zealous light in his eye when he looks at you.
Yes, as it should be. Worship me. No, okay, so let's be serious for a minute. Okay, so I see a zealous light. Was Theo one of the ones that was talking and Fields busted him for talking?
You're not sure.
Okay.
You're most likely not, because you think that you would have recognized his aura, for lack of a better term.
And what rank is Theo?
He's a scout.
So yeah, I'll look at him and say, you're giving me an odd look, Scout. Is there something on your mind?
No, Commander. No. And he kind of just continues about helping you into your armor.
Okay. Well, I'll just let it go at that then. Because I don't know. I'm not sure I understand it all myself yet, so I can't judge, whether it's a good thing that he's looking at me like that or not.
All right. So in short order, your breakfast, which was a fairly simple, basically an ash cake. It's just dough that is then thrown into the coals of a fire.
Oh, no. I wanted pemmican.
There's no bison. So you'd have to get in a boat and travel west, and then pray that the land formations on this map are close enough to our own land formations that America is actually there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, so I'll wolf that down and we'll get ready to go.
All right. So, short order, all the camp is cleaned up. The fire has dirt thrown on it. And Theo and Sam are sent off to scout together down the western path. They don't see any real signs of a trail being there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just like, west, my lord?
I guess, yeah, I guess I'll travel with them and just go off memory the best I can.
Roll sense.
Failure.
Yeah, you're going to have to go with memory because the Leshy is twisting and corrupting.
Yeah.
And you can't really see anything other than that corruption right now. So, yeah.
I guess, yeah, we'll go off memory and I'll try again later if possible and see if I can pick anything up. But
all right. So,
a general direction anyway, we'll go.
Then give me a navigate if you have it, or a difficult idea, or even a no.
Where is idea?
It's a characteristic,
Okay. So
You can give me a difficult idea or no roll. If you think you know it, it's because you are remembering it. Or you have an idea about the right direction.
all right. We'll try a difficult idea
All right.
or a regular no.
Difficult no.
Okay. So we'll try a difficult idea. That's how English people say.
Yeah.
Failure.
All right. So they're doing the scouting and they'll keep you going west, but you just don't recognize most of this location, right? There was no real identifying markers. Roll luck.
Come on. Rolling in the 90s now.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those weeks for you.
Can I power it?
Not luck.
Okay.
If you wanted, we could go back and if you have enough to power your sense, you could do that.
Maybe next time. Let's let the dice rule.
Because what is it? Because it's 2-1 on POW, so you can. What is it?
What was I off?
28 is what you're at for power for that conversion. So
Yeah, when I did the sense, I was off
54
by 24
20,
points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could do it if you want.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So you roll the sense. The corruption is near overpowering, and through sheer force of will, you begin to push it aside, and it resists, and it's very taxing on you. That's the PowerPoint reduction there. But eventually, you do see Leodin's footprints.
Okay.
Glowing. You see panic intermixed with those. Panic, fear, but determination. And you're able to follow them into the forest.
Okay.
Roll listen for me when you get a chance. Let's see if you get another 90.
All right, listen. I'm not very good at listening. Special.
All right. So you get to the place because you see a sudden spike in Leodin's emotions, right? It's a bit of fear. Something spooked her.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like her emotions calm. She recognized whatever it was. And you know, or you figure, that this is when you came upon her when she was running through the woods at night.
Okay.
So you're at that spot, and you hear slightly to the south of you a group of people moving.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll call Fields up and say I hear people off this, so let's move this direction.
All right.
And and hope it's the people we're looking for.
All right. Fields nods and salutes, and it'll be done, sir, but he's kind of got that weird look about him again. Theo is got that weird look in his eyes too, and he's just kind of staring at you. You move your men south, and you bust out into a dried riverbed that Leodin and an unknown man and about 40 other men behind him are walking down, and she's saying that we need to start cutting eastward across here, and he's kind of in the midst of saying that it would slow us down to such a great degree, better to hit the riverbank and move north. But she's like, no, we need to go this way. And then you step out onto the clearing. Several of the men raise raise shields when you step out, until they see that it's Fields and fellow Velixian soldiers.
Yeah, so I'll just say, actually, we need to go this way. Just to interrupt the conversation there.
All right, roll status.
I'll identify myself then. And
As part of that identification, in fact, roll status.
okay, where are you? There you are. Success.
All right. So you begin the spiel. Landon, son of Leofric, line of Flumine, so on and so forth. And before you even get your father's name fully spoken, this other man has already saluted. You can roll etiquette if you wish, or anything etiquette or knowledge house Velix.
Success, etiquette, House Velux.
All right. His tabard, while predominantly consisting of the black and red, that is House Velix, has his own heraldry on it. And it is a silver whale cresting the water on a field of blue.
Okay.
And you recognize this as House, I'm going to stutter on this, Piscator, which is fishermen in the old tongue.
Okay.
This house, you haven't kept up on them for a while, but it used to be a fairly, they've always been very loyal to House Velix, and you suspect, given when you left, that their father's probably dead by now due to age or whatever, and that this would be his son,
Okay.
or perhaps even grandson.
Okay.
But through record reports that their house is one of the main whaling houses.
Mm-hmm.
They all own coastal lands, and that his house is the main producer of spermaceti. They know how to produce it appropriately, how to extract it, how to make it into oil that doesn't freeze, how to make it into wax that burns at hotter temperature.
Okay. So pretty important.
And also, and more importantly, loyal.
Loyal. Yeah.
So he sees you, sees your signia and regalia, and he immediately salutes,
Okay.
but does not interrupt you. He lets you do your proper introduction.
Okay. And then, what is his rank then? Can I tell by his tabard or his?
He is of a rank equal to yours. In fact, if we were being serious, you might edge him out in rank just because of who your dad is, but in
Right.
actual ranking, he would
Yeah.
outrank you because yours is an honorific, his is an actual title.
Okay.
So he's a comitus, or comitus, there we go.
And how do you spell their house?
Come on, where is it? Piscator.
Oh, okay.
His name is Felix. You would recognize, when he introduces himself, you recognize that name. He is, in fact, one of the Duke's Piscator's sons. And you know that he inherited the smallest of his other two brothers, as far as land goes. In fact, they tried to buy him out, but he took it, and he didn't really complain too much.
Okay. Luck shines on me, Felix, that I would run into you. I'm going to need somebody I can trust, and then I'll lay it out for him. Actually, I want to bring him aside with him and Fields so I can just explain it just to him.
Okay.
I don't want everybody else having, talking rumors and stuff. So it's best if just we keep the particulars to ourselves, but I'll explain to him that there's some game afoot to blame me for what's happened. And we were ambushed, and we need to effect a rescue of Duncan, especially important since I was in his company when this went down. So we need to rescue him, and I know where they are. And if we move quickly, we might be able to rescue him.
Without hesitation, Piscator salutes and says it will be done. And Fields does so the same.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just, express my thanks in whatever formal way you do. And
is there, never mind. So you express your thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you begin your march back eastwards towards the clearing and then past it. Is that the idea, or are you going to try to get tricky?
Well, I'm going to pull, Leandon up with me.
Okay.
And ask her, I'll tell her where we're going and ask her what's the best way for us to get there. Because I'm going to tell her they're moving along a river, and then there's a ruined castrum, and that's where we're going. So the best way for us to get there.
Oh, come on. All right. She knows the castrum that you're talking of, but she says that shortly after I came to northern Murus, and I found out about the Leshy, I avoided going too deep into it. The corruption gets worse the further in you go. It's the Leshy's domain.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the general location, but not the exact spot.
Okay. Well, as close as you can get us. I mean, even if we can just make it to the river and follow it, we should be able to catch up to him, hopefully.
I'll try. And so she sets off, and she seems to be setting a pretty good pace.
Okay.
Alrighty. So now we go over to Hadrius and Jardane to finish up our session here. You guys have just bathed. It is still early evening. Solar, at this time of year, is starting to ride low, but not yet sunset. You still have maybe a couple hours for that.
Yeah, and the next thing to do was to go into Old Town and get that arm, get it on the track of having some medicine applied to it.
All right.
We're going to be here for a while.
All right,
If we
so
can afford it.
the Pilgrim's Rest is near the gate that leads into southern Old Town, as the locals call it. And beyond it, a short distance, you see the castrum. You can't quite see how it is, but you can kind of tell from your walk up here, from the hills outside of the city, that the castrum is actually suspended in the middle of the Muros, upon pillars and bridges, and it bridges the south bank with the north bank.
Right.
So, if you want, you can give me spots, lucks, or idea difficult rolls. And is there something you want to say?
All
Travis?
of them are difficult? Or
No, just the idea.
Well, I guess luck is my best shot.
Oh, don't do it. I just failed.
Nah.
Dane, let's keep up the ruse of merchant apprentice for a while longer till we've made our final determination, if that's okay with you.
Well,
Success on the luck
that
roll.
I've still have lots to learn in the merchant business. I would be glad and honored to apprentice under you.
Alrighty, so you succeed at a luck roll. So just looking around, it's fairly well structured here in this part of Old Town. It had to be because it had a wall, it had a constraint, and so it was very well planned out. Whereas New Town is more haphazard. So right upon entering the gate, off to your left, you see a fairly well-to-do building that has the symbols for the merchant guild as well as the coins for the bank. It seems to be some sort of combined venture.
Okay.
There doesn't appear to be any customers when you look in through the windows of that establishment. You ask around and you quickly are pointed in the direction of the physic, which is in the castrum, as we discussed. The castrum on the southern side is open. There usually is a line that is there, and they're being filtered out. So your luck of 18 allows you to kind of talk your way forward.
Okay.
You're able to kind of wheel and deal. And in short order, a young page, a boy of about 9 to 10, comes up and he gives you a bow. What business, sirs?
I'm in need of a chirurgeon. My apprentice, fell from a horse, realizing I didn't have to lie at all.
Nah.
Really, that is what happened, I think, right?
The boy begins to demand a
I
fast
think
talk
it was
roll.
a wagon crash,
Yeah,
A wagon crash. Yeah.
but
it's same difference.
but your earnest and humble reputation precedes you, and he nods and follow me, sirs, or my lords. And he leads you to a small building, well away from the castrum itself, but still inside the castrum's defensive walls. It's multi-staged. Well, actually, scratch that. Yeah, it's just a ways from the castrum, but there's no inner wall in this part. And it is a well-to-do little wood building, shaded by trees. And the boy walks up and knocks on the door and announces to the man inside that 2 fellows are in need of assistance. And a skinny old man opens the door. He has a set of spectacles perched on the end of his nose.
Can I offer that page a penny?
You can, but he won't accept it outright.
Oh, you guys don't know how to do business up there.
Well, also he's probably richer than maybe
He's
not.
a page, right?
Yeah. He's a nobleman's son,
Yeah.
sent to learn.
Theoretically, but really that wealth is tied up with your family. How much do you have, Paige?
Now that
Penny
is
gained.
actually a truthful statement.
Yeah.
Most nobles that say dwell in Domus Solis, they are not wealthy.
Right.
They run average to exquisite lifestyles, unlike
Right.
Landon here.
Well, he either takes it or he does. If he does take it, I'll just be like, remember, you might see more of us around. Could
Right.
use a sturdy page like yourself.
Yeah, he'll take it, and he'll give a bow to you, and then he'll go to continue his duties of ferrying or guiding people from one place to another within the castrum as they show up.
And then I'll introduce myself to this fellow. I'm Hadrius Ordius, merchant. This is my apprentice, Dane. We had an issue on the travel up here, and he's injured his arm. I was hoping the rates would be reasonable, because I didn't want to just go out in the woods and put him down. Just hoping for a little chuckle from the fella.
Oh, no, you shouldn't have to put him down. He reaches out towards you, Jardine, and checks your teeth. Still seems young to me.
I'll just stand there with an offended look upon my face. As besides, everybody knows that you count the rings, not the teeth to age a human.
Is that layers of dirt?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
you can only age commoners as such. The nobility wash him free. Well,
This you had already explained it earlier. We're basically what we pay is what we get skill wise. Is there an option to pay? What's the word? To bargain it down?
sweeten the deal.
Yeah.
So the castrum chirurgeon is free to the public. It's just that you usually have a much longer waiting time.
Mm.
And also, depending on your point of view, they may not have the appropriate answer to
Right.
the medical problem that you're seeking
So,
help with, right?
Public defender level of
Yeah. So it's
healthcare.
you can pay him. He will accept that. And most likely, if you do have to buy medical supplies, you will pay him to reimburse him for that.
Okay.
But the actual service will be rendered free, and it will be average. So
Okay.
50%.
Well, let's see how it goes.
You want to roll?
What are we rolling against?
Just roll
50?
a 1d100. You're trying to beat out a 50.
Or do you want to do it, Dane?
It is your arm.
Better leave it in your luck.
Hmm.
And
I don't know. My luck roll last time.
this man's name is
Okay.
Cyrus.
Cyrus?
Success.
All right. So he has Jardine. He has you take off your shirt. So unless you want him to cut the sleeve off, your shirt and your undershirt, your doublet and your undershirt, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how good a shape it's in, but I don't know the next time we're gonna get some clothes. I'll take it off instead of shirt or having him cut it.
All right. And then he feels about the arm after taking off the splint that Ollie had put on. And he's kind of nodding. Yeah, whoever did this knew what they were about. Seems like the bone's set. Ain't yet begun to heal. Unfortunately, we don't know how to make a plaster. Actually, they might. I think that goes all the way back to Egypt, doesn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, he says he'll put it in a simple plaster.
Okay.
And that will help it set and heal right and keep it from being knocked out of alignment and breaking again.
Did you have anything for the pain, good sir? He keeps me up nights with wailing.
I don't think I do.
Yeah, I got something. But honestly, the one that you should have gone to for potions and elixirs and the like, it was the hedge witch. She knew her herbs. Yeah, she could keep them shut up.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I guess she has vacated the area. Or so, last I heard, perhaps it was mistaken information.
Shanae didn't seem like the type to abandon her people, her flock.
It is a bit different beyond these walls in this town than you may last remember, good sir.
I've heard some bastard and a fool at that rising up, causing more work.
Yes. Or destroying one's livelihood completely. But carry on. Let me interfere here.
Well, he's mixing up the plaster.
Right.
And then he'll apply it essentially by strips of linen. He'll soak strips of linen and then wrap them tight. And he'll check with you occasionally, Jardane, to make sure that you still have feeling and that they're not too tight. But between that and some wooden splints that are pressed under them and held and fastened tight, your arm becomes eventually locked kind of at an angle. And then he puts a sling back around your shoulders and neck and rests your arm in it. Roll a 1d6.
6.
Nice.
All right. This takes a long time, and the sun has set, and it's well into the night by the time he's done. The bridge on the south side of Castrum Low doesn't get raised at night unless an emergency, so you're able to leave the castrum.
Okay.
He offers you a simple lantern to get your way home. It's basically a rush lantern. It's I think that's what it's called. It's basically a bunch of oil that soaks into a wick, and then the wick is lit, right? And in this one, it just kind of has a simple horn lid that fits over it that keeps the flame from being snuffed out. It offers decent enough light.
Well, I'll offer my thanks for service and leave the donation, the expected donation.
Yeah, go for it.
Just the average.
Yeah.
And we'll head back to the inn we're staying at. That's all we can do for today. And Dane, so we have a fork in the road. I'll expect your decision in the morning, whichever way you want to go on this. Either way, we'll prepare ourselves to be before this Lord and see what kind of aid he can render us. Whatever venture. Go ahead.
Only have one reservation, is obviously the goods that I create and you would sell typically are going to sell to armies. Are you going to be able to control yourself?
Charging the army? Well,
no, but really the question
high
is
explosives.
well, I'm a merchant.
The question is what happens when the war dries up?
War never dries up. Not in my experience.
You can roll
So we just
any of
follow
your mercantile stuff if you want,
wars.
Okay.
or knowledge of the Near East.
Yeah, I don't have a knowledge of it per se.
Then your mercantile stuff will work. You can also do the difficult idea or no.
Guess we'll go with the old mercantile.
Success?
Yep.
All right. The Prope Orientum is in a near state of constant war. because there are multiple religious factions. They all worship Solar, but they all have a different take on his word and teachings. So there is the Sultanate, which is the main ruling body. And then, I hope this is the right word, a bunch of caliphates, religious leaders. And he is basically in a rotating war with multiple groups of those. And that is a main source of income for a lot of people in Natale Solis, one of which is House Velix, which operates a large mercenary unit that's where they bloody their men, get them ready for war anywhere else.
Yeah, so it boils down to we'll never not have the clientele for it. We just won't be able to have the comfort of, being in one spot or dealing with the same people, We'll have to go to where we could sell it. But I think, although I don't know specifically how we'll do it, I have ideas, and we'll just have to take it as it comes. But sleep on it, for sure. I don't want the answer now. I'll get it in the morning.
No.
Things look different in the cold light of morning.
Yeah, I couldn't give you one at the moment, but yes, lots to think on. I appreciate you getting me here in one piece, and I will have an answer for you in the morning. Yes,
whatever happens next, we'll have to do it quick because we'll be homeless tomorrow. That or I'll have to spend the day gambling and winning.
All right, Jardine, to the left arm of your character, under the, I think it's AV, the armor value, put a 3, and it's in the name of the armor, it is plaster cast. And so your arm gained armor rating until it's time for that to come off. But it will protect it from damage.
Armor value of that, I'm going to keep it on forever.
Just plaster your whole body?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this session ends with the two of you walking down the streets of Old Town into New Town and into the Pilgrim's Rest, discussing your business, and then heading on off to bed. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Roll against any skills that you have check marked.
Thanks.
Any of them or all of them?
Any one that you have checked. Did anyone get any critical character rolls?
This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.